The sprinklers come on at exactly 10:15 p.m. every night in Willow Ridge, Connecticut. I time them like clockwork because numbers don't lie, unlike everything else in this pristine suburban hellscape I call home. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 36 years old, and I analyze financial data for a living, which means I notice patterns, like how my husband Brian claims to be fixing servers at his tech consulting firm every Tuesday and Thursday night, yet somehow always returns home smelling like my sister Rachel's vanilla candles and carrying empty casserole dishes. Tonight, as I stand at my kitchen window, watching the automatic irrigation system baptize our perfectly manicured lawns, I see Brian's Honda Civic pulling out of Rachel's driveway 3 houses down. The dashboard clock reads 10:47 p.m. His story about server maintenance just became mathematically impossible. "Hey babe," Brian says, sliding through our front door with that practiced casual tone that sets my teeth on edge. "Sorry I'm late. You know how these emergency calls go." I turn from the window, studying his face with the same attention I give quarterly reports. "How's Rachel doing?" The micro-expression that flickers across his features lasts exactly 2 seconds. Guilt, panic, then forced neutrality. "Rachel? Why would you ask about Rachel?" "Just wondering. You seem to run into her a lot lately when you're out on these work calls." Brian loosens his tie, avoiding eye contact. "She's fine, I guess. You should call her more often. Sisters should stay close." The irony burns like acid in my throat. My younger sister Rachel, the self-proclaimed artist who lives off our parents' trust fund while creating what she calls experimental installations in her converted garage studio. Rachel, who's always been the pretty one, the charming one, the one everyone gravitates toward at family gatherings while I fade into the background with my spreadsheets and sensible cardigans. "Maybe I will," I say, watching Brian head upstairs. "Maybe we should all spend more time together." After Brian falls asleep, I creep downstairs to his laptop. He's left it open on the kitchen counter, still logged into his email. The screensaver hasn't even activated yet, which means he was using it less than 10 minutes ago. Interesting, considering he claimed to be exhausted from his emergency server work. I scroll through his recent emails, my analyst brain cataloging every detail. Conference registration for a tech summit in Boston last month. Hotel confirmation for the same dates. But according to his credit card statements, which I handle for our household budget, he was supposedly in Hartford those same days for a different client meeting. The numbers don't add up. They never do when people lie. I'm about to close the laptop when I notice something else. A forwarded receipt from Williams-Sonoma, dated yesterday, for a professional-grade stand mixer, delivered to Rachel's address, paid for with Brian's company credit card. My sister doesn't cook. She barely manages microwave popcorn. But she's been posting photos on social media lately of elaborate homemade meals, always tagged with captions like, "Cooking for someone special," and "Love is the secret ingredient." I photograph the receipt with my phone, then close Brian's laptop carefully, making sure to position it exactly as I found it. Evidence collection is like financial auditing. It's all about documentation and maintaining the chain of custody. The next morning, I'm watering my front garden when I spot Rachel jogging past in designer athletic wear that costs more than my monthly grocery budget. She waves cheerfully, her blonde ponytail bouncing with each step. "Morning, Em. Beautiful day, isn't it?" "Gorgeous," I reply, adjusting the spray nozzle on my hose. "Hey, I saw Brian's car in your driveway last night. Everything okay?" Rachel's stride falters slightly, but she recovers quickly. "Oh, that. Yeah, he stopped by to help me move some canvases. You know how heavy those big pieces get." "At almost 11 p.m.? Was it that late? Time flies when you're working on art, you know." She flashes that $1 million smile that's gotten her out of trouble since we were kids. Brian's such a sweetheart for helping. You're lucky to have him. Lucky. Right. That evening, I tell Brian I'm going for a walk around the neighborhood. Exercise is good for clearing the mind, I explain, and I need to think through some complex financial projections for work. He barely looks up from his phone. Have fun, he mutters. Don't wait up. I might have another late call tonight. I count to 60 after leaving the house, then circle back through the Hendersons' backyard. The beauty of suburban planning is its predictability. Every house has the same layout, the same landscaping, the same sight lines. I know exactly where to position myself, to watch both our driveway and Rachel's without being seen. At 9:23 p.m., Brian's Honda pulls out of our garage. He drives slowly down Maple Street, turns left on Oak Avenue, then right into Rachel's driveway. I note the time in my phone. This is where things get interesting. I need to get closer, but walking down the street would be too obvious. The Hendersons are in Florida for the winter, and their teenage son left his scooter on the side of their house. I borrow it, figuring I can always claim I was returning it if anyone asks questions. Scooting through suburban streets at night while conducting surveillance is harder than it looks in movies. The wheels rattle on every crack in the sidewalk, and I nearly collide with a landscaping truck backing out of the Petersons' driveway. I swerve hard right, using their hedge as cover, while the driver adjusts his mirrors and pulls away. From my position behind the hedge, I have a perfect view into Rachel's studio through the large windows she installed for natural light. Brian and Rachel are standing close together, very close, examining something on her easel. As I watch, she places her hand on his chest, and he doesn't pull away. My phone buzzes with a text message. Brian, server emergency came up. We'll be late again. Sorry, honey. The timestamp shows 9:41 p.m. I'm literally watching him lie to me in real time. I document everything with photos, careful to avoid using flash, the angles, the body language, the timeline. Evidence doesn't lie, even when everyone else does. When I get home, I find an email in our shared family account from someone named Concerned Neighbor 2023, with the subject line, Neighborhood Watch Update. It's addressed to our entire cul-de-sac mailing list. Dear Willow Ridge residents, it begins, we should all be aware of suspicious activity in our community. Some neighbors have been observed engaging in erratic behavior, including late-night wandering and potential property surveillance. Please report any concerning incidents to the HOA board. We must protect our property values and family safety. Best regards, a concerned neighbor. The email is clearly about me. But what catches my attention isn't the accusation, it's the spelling error in the signature line. Rachel instead of Rachel. It's the same typo my sister has been making since elementary school, despite years of correction from teachers and family members. My own sister is trying to turn the neighborhood against me. I lean back in my desk chair, staring at the screen. The numbers are adding up to a picture I don't want to see but can't ignore. Brian and Rachel aren't just having an affair, they're actively working to isolate me, to make me look unstable and paranoid. But they've made one crucial mistake. They've underestimated exactly how good I am with numbers, patterns, and evidence. I open a new spreadsheet and begin documenting everything. Dates, times, locations, financial transactions, email metadata. Every lie, every deception, every attempt to gaslight me into believing I'm imagining things. Numbers don't lie, and neither do screenshots. By the time I'm finished, it's past midnight. Brian still isn't home, despite his claim about a server emergency. I check his location on our shared family plan. His phone is stationary at Rachel's address. I save my spreadsheet with a simple file name, Evidence Dex LSX. Then I start planning my next move, because if there's one thing I've learned from years of financial analysis, it's that every fraud eventually leaves a paper trail, and every paper trail eventually leads to consequences. My phone pings with another email from Concerned Neighbor 2023. This one suggests that certain residents might benefit from professional help and includes links to local mental health resources. The signature line still reads, Rachel. I smile for the first time in weeks. My sister always was terrible at details. The Willow Ridge Community Bank sits on the corner of Main Street and Elm, a brick building designed to look trustworthy and established, despite being built only 5 years ago. I've been working here as a senior financial analyst since we moved to the neighborhood, and I've developed a reputation for catching discrepancies that others miss. Emily, can you take a look at the Morrison account? My supervisor, Janet, asks, dropping a thick file on my desk. Something's not adding up in their loan application. I flip through the documents, immediately spotting the issue. Income verification doesn't match the tax returns, I tell her. The W-2 shows $45,000, but they're claiming $60,000 on the application. How long did that take you? I check my watch. About 30 seconds. Janet shakes her head. I swear you have some kind of supernatural ability to spot lies in numbers. If only she knew how much practice I've been getting at home. During my lunch break, I drive to Clover's Market to pick up groceries and hopefully run into my neighbor, Jenna Briggs. Jenna lives 2 houses down from us and has become my closest friend in the neighborhood, mainly because she's the only person who doesn't seem impressed by Rachel's artistic persona or Brian's tech bro confidence. I find Jenna in the produce section, examining avocados with the intensity of a gemologist. Please tell me you have some normal neighborhood gossip, I say, grabbing a shopping cart. I'm drowning in HOA drama. Actually, funny you should mention that. Jenna glances around, then moves closer. I've been meaning to show you something. You know how I have that dash cam in my car? The one that caught the Henderson's dog destroying the Patel's flower bed? That's the one. Well, yesterday I was reviewing the footage because someone dinged my bumper in the parking lot here, and I caught something interesting. She pulls out her phone and shows me a video clip. This was Tuesday evening, around 6:15. The footage shows the Clover's Market parking lot from Jenna's windshield perspective. In the background, I can clearly see Brian and Rachel loading what appear to be large canvases into the back of his Honda. They're laughing about something, and at one point, Rachel playfully shoves Brian's shoulder. That's weird, I say, keeping my voice neutral. Brian told me he was in Hartford on Tuesday for a client meeting. Maybe the meeting ended early. Maybe. I study the timestamp on the video. 6:12 p.m. According to Brian's story, he should have been 3 hours away, stuck in traffic on I-95. Can you send me this clip? Sure, but why? Just curious about the timeline. You know how I am with details. After Jenna sends me the video, I continue shopping, my mind racing. The evidence is mounting, but I need to be strategic about how I use it. Confronting Brian directly would only put him on guard and make him more careful about covering his tracks. As I'm loading groceries into my car, I notice Derek Shaw approaching from across the parking lot. Derek is Brian's operations lead at the consulting firm, a tall, lanky guy who always seems nervous around me. Probably because I ask too many specific questions about Brian's work schedule. Hey, Emily, Derek says, slightly out of breath. Fancy running into you here. Hi, Derek. How's business? Oh, busy as always. Lots of client emergencies lately. He's pushing an empty shopping cart, which strikes me as odd since he's walking away from the store, not toward it. That's what Brian keeps telling me. All these late-night server issues. Derek's eyes dart away from mine. Yeah, well, technology never sleeps, right? Especially with our high-end clients. They expect 24/7 support. Which clients specifically? I ask, pulling out my phone as if I'm checking messages. Brian mentioned something about a Hartford account, but I can't remember the company name. Hartford? I don't think we have any active projects in Hartford right now. Derek realizes his mistake immediately, his face flushing red. I mean, we have so many clients. I might be forgetting something. Of course, it's hard to keep track of everything. Derek starts to respond, then apparently thinks better of it. He begins pushing his empty cart toward the store entrance, walking faster than necessary. I follow at a casual pace, curious to see where this leads. Near the entrance, Derek nearly collides with the employee, pushing a pallet jack loaded with cases of bottled water. The worker shouts a warning. Derek jumps back, and several sheets of paper fall from his jacket pocket onto the asphalt. "Let me help," I say, bending down to collect the papers before Derek can stop me. The top sheet is a vendor invoice for catering services, addressed to Brian's company. The billing address is Rachel's studio. The contact name is listed as Rachel Hart, the same misspelling from the anonymous neighborhood emails. "Thanks," Derek says, snatching the papers from my hands. "Just some boring procurement stuff." "No problem." "Hey, Derek, can I ask you something?" He's already backing away. "I really need to grab some things before the store closes." It's only 3 p.m., but Derek is already disappearing through the automatic doors, leaving me standing in the parking lot with a shopping cart full of groceries and a head full of questions. That evening, I set up a simple email filter in our shared family account. Any message containing Brian's name, Rachel's name, or our address gets automatically forwarded to a private folder I create. It's not hacking or snooping, it's just organizing emails that are already coming to our household account. Within 2 hours, I've captured 3 forwarded confirmations: dinner reservations for 2 at Romano's Italian restaurant, a hotel booking in Mystic for this weekend, and a charge from Victoria's Secret that definitely wasn't for me. I cross-referenced the dates with Brian's calendar. According to his schedule, he's supposed to be at a technology conference in Boston this weekend. The hotel reservation in Mystic suggests otherwise. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. "Your husband deserves better than a paranoid wife who spies on neighbors." I screenshot the message, then check the metadata. The number isn't in my contacts, but when I search it online, it comes back registered to a prepaid phone purchased at the Walmart in the next town over. Someone is going to considerable effort to harass me anonymously. 20 minutes later, another text arrives. "Stop embarrassing yourself. Everyone can see what you're doing." This time, I don't just screenshot. I forward the message to my personal email account and save it in a folder labeled Documentation. If someone wants to play psychological warfare, they're going to discover that I'm very good at keeping records. I'm about to put my phone away when I notice something interesting about the second text. The autocorrect has changed embarrassing to embarrassing, but I can see the original misspelling in the prediction text that pops up. It's the same type of error Rachel has been making since high school. She always forgets the double R in embarrassing. My sister isn't just having an affair with my husband. She's actively trying to gaslight me into believing I'm losing my mind. I open my laptop and add this information to my evidence spreadsheet: text messages, phone numbers, timestamps, spelling patterns, everything documented, everything verified. Then I do something that surprises even me. I start planning. Not revenge. I'm not interested in dramatic confrontations or public scenes. I'm interested in consequences. Real, measurable, legally sound consequences that will force both Brian and Rachel to face the reality of what they've done. I pull up Brian's company website and start reading through their client testimonials, employee bios, and corporate policies, particularly the sections about ethics, professional conduct, and expense account management. The catering invoice Derek dropped mentioned client entertainment, but if the services were delivered to Rachel's studio for personal use, that's a violation of company policy. Potentially a fireable offense, depending on the amount involved. I cross-reference the invoice date with Brian's credit card statements. The same day shows charges at Williams-Sonoma, a florist, and a wine shop, all categorized as business expenses, all delivered to Rachel's address. My husband isn't just cheating, he's committing expense fraud to finance his affair. I lean back in my chair, feeling something I haven't felt in months: control. For weeks, Brian and Rachel have been manipulating me, gaslighting me, trying to make me question my own perceptions. But they've made a crucial error. They've left a paper trail. And paper trails are my specialty. I save my work and close the laptop, then walk upstairs to where Brian is getting ready for bed. He's humming while he brushes his teeth, looking more relaxed and happy than he has in our own home for months. "How was your day?" I ask. "Good. Productive. Derek and I made some real progress on the Morrison account." Morrison, the same account Janet asked me to review for loan fraud. The same account that doesn't exist in Brian's company directory, which I checked during my lunch break. "That's great," I say. "I'm glad things are going well at work." Brian kisses my forehead, a gesture that once felt affectionate but now feels patronizing. "Don't wait up tomorrow night. I might be late again." "Another server emergency?" "You know how it is." I do know how it is, but I don't think Brian understands exactly how much I know. After he falls asleep, I sit at my kitchen window and watch the sprinklers come on at exactly 10:15 p.m. The water arcs across our lawn in perfect, predictable patterns, just like the lies my husband tells me every day. But patterns can be disrupted. Systems can be changed, and sometimes the person everyone underestimates is the one who ends up holding all the cards. Saturday morning arrives with the kind of crisp October air that makes suburban Connecticut look like a postcard. I'm in my front yard, raking leaves into neat piles, when Rachel's silver Porsche Cayenne pulls into her driveway. The SUV is pristine, as always, detailed weekly at the expensive car wash in town. She waves at me from across the street, her smile bright and completely fake. "Morning, Em. Gorgeous day for yard work." "Beautiful," I agree, leaning on my rake. Perfect weather for outdoor projects. That afternoon, I drive to Home Depot and purchase a gallon of washable tempera paint in a color called Serenity Blue. The teenage cashier doesn't even look up from his phone as he scans the barcode. I pay in cash and keep the receipt. Washable paint is key. What I'm planning isn't permanent property damage. It's a temporary inconvenience. Messy, embarrassing, but ultimately harmless. The kind of prank that makes a point without crossing legal lines. I also buy a tube of washable school glue, the kind parents use for craft projects. Again, temporary and harmless, but effective for my purposes. That evening, Brian announces he's going out for drinks with Derek to discuss a new project proposal. He'll be late, he says. Probably won't be home until after midnight. I should go to bed without him. "Have fun," I tell him, not looking up from my book. "Say hi to Derek for me." At 11:30 p.m., I dress in dark clothing and walk quietly through the neighborhood. Most houses are dark, their occupants asleep, or watching late-night television. The streetlights create pools of illumination, but there are plenty of shadows to move through. Rachel's Porsche sits in her driveway, moonlight gleaming off its polished surface. Brian's Honda is parked right behind it. I approach from the side yard, staying low and moving carefully. The motion sensor lights are positioned to detect movement near the front door, not along the driveway's edge. Working quickly, I pour the blue paint across the windshield and hood, letting it drip down the sides in abstract patterns. The paint is thick enough to obscure vision, but thin enough to wash off with soap and water. I squeeze glue onto both windshield wipers, ensuring they'll stick to the glass when Rachel tries to use them. The whole operation takes less than 3 minutes. As I'm finishing, I hear a door open somewhere in the neighborhood. I freeze, crouching beside the Porsche's rear wheel. Light spills across the Hendersons' driveway as someone lets their dog out for a late-night bathroom break. I wait, counting heartbeats, until the door closes again. Then I move quickly toward the street, staying in the shadows. That's when the HOA security camera at the corner of Maple and Oak swivels in my direction, its LED indicator blinking red. I'm caught in its field of view, fully visible under the streetlight, but as I stand there, calculating whether I've just made a terrible mistake, The sprinkler system activates. Water sprays across the camera lens, and the bright LED flare from the moisture creates a whiteout effect on the recording. By the time the water stops, I'm already 3 houses away, walking casually down the sidewalk like any neighbor out for an evening stroll. The next morning, I'm drinking coffee on my front porch when the screaming starts. "What the hell? What the hell?" Rachel's voice carries clearly across the cul-de-sac. I look up from my newspaper to see her standing in her driveway, staring at her paint-covered Porsche. She's wearing designer pajamas and fuzzy slippers, her hair in a messy bun. "Oh my God," I call out, setting down my coffee cup. "Rachel, what happened?" "Someone vandalized my car." She's practically shrieking. "Look at this. Look what they did." I walk across the street, making appropriate shocked and sympathetic noises. The paint has dried overnight, creating a mottled blue pattern across the vehicle's surface. It looks dramatic and terrible, exactly as intended. "This is awful," I say. "Who would do something like this?" "I don't know, but I'm calling the police." Rachel fumbles for her phone. "This is destruction of property." Other neighbors are emerging from their houses, drawn by the commotion. Pamela Green from the HOA Social Committee appears in her bathrobe, her eyes wide with excitement. Nothing makes Pamela happier than fresh neighborhood drama. "Oh, honey, that's terrible," Pamela says, though she's clearly thrilled. "Have you had any conflicts with anyone lately? Any disputes or disagreements?" Rachel's eyes dart to me for just a moment before she shakes her head. "No, nothing like that. I can't imagine why anyone would target me." Brian emerges from Rachel's house, wearing yesterday's clothes and looking like he slept on a couch, which he probably did. He surveys the damage with what appears to be genuine surprise. "This is crazy," he says. "Who does something like this in a neighborhood like ours?" "Probably teenagers," I suggest. "You know how kids are with pranks." "This isn't a prank," Rachel snaps. "This is malicious destruction." Officer Karen Diaz arrives 20 minutes later, driving the community police cruiser that patrols our subdivision. She's a practical woman in her 40s who's dealt with plenty of suburban drama over the years. "Let's take a look," she says, examining the Porsche with professional detachment. "Any idea who might have done this?" "No," Rachel says. "I'm a peaceful person. I don't have enemies." Officer Diaz scrapes a small sample of paint with her fingernail. "This looks like washable tempera paint. Kids' art supplies. It should come off with soap and warm water." "That's not the point," Rachel protests. "Someone trespassed on my property." "I'll file a report," Officer Diaz says. "But without witnesses or clear evidence, there's not much we can investigate. I'd recommend installing better security lighting and maybe a camera system." After the police leave, I help Rachel wash the paint off her car. The tempera comes off easily, just as I knew it would. The glue on the wipers requires a little more effort, but even that dissolves with warm soapy water. "I just don't understand," Rachel says as we work. "Why would someone target me specifically?" "Maybe it was random," I suggest. "Wrong place, wrong time." But I can see she doesn't believe that, and neither do I. That afternoon, the neighborhood group chat explodes with theories and speculation. Pamela Green leads the discussion, sharing every detail she observed and soliciting opinions from other residents. "I think we need to increase security patrols," Linda Carter, Brian's mother and HOA president, writes. "This kind of vandalism threatens all our property values." "Has anyone checked the security camera footage?" someone asks. "The camera at Maple and Oak malfunctioned last night," Pamela responds. "Something about water damage from the sprinkler system. The recording is completely washed out." I smile, sipping my afternoon tea. Sometimes luck and planning align perfectly. My phone buzzes with a private message from an unknown number. "Childish pranks won't change anything. You're only embarrassing yourself." I screenshot the message and add it to my documentation folder. Then I compose a response. "I have no idea what you're talking about." The response comes immediately. "Stop playing dumb. Everyone knows it was you." Everyone knows what was me, I type back. There's a long pause, then, the paint, the car. I screenshot that exchange too. My anonymous harasser has just admitted they believe I vandalized Rachel's car. More importantly, they've revealed they have inside knowledge about what happened, knowledge they shouldn't possess unless they were either present during the incident or closely connected to Rachel. I forward the screenshots to my personal email and add them to my evidence spreadsheet. The pattern is becoming clearer with each interaction. That evening, Brian comes home early, looking troubled. "Crazy day in the neighborhood," he says, loosening his tie. "I heard about Rachel's car. Such a shame. Yeah, she's pretty upset about it." He studies my face carefully. "You didn't see anything unusual last night, did you? Any suspicious activity?" "I was asleep by 10:30. I lie smoothly. "Why would you think I saw something?" "Just wondering. You're usually pretty observant about neighborhood stuff." "Not that observant, apparently." Brian nods, but I can tell he's not entirely convinced. Good. Let him wonder. Let him worry about what I might know or might have seen. After dinner, I sit at my computer and review the day's events. The paint prank served multiple purposes. It rattled Rachel, it demonstrated that she's not untouchable, and it forced my anonymous harasser to reveal more information about their identity and motivations. But more importantly, it established a new dynamic. For months, Brian and Rachel have been controlling the narrative, making me feel paranoid and isolated. Now they're the ones looking over their shoulders, wondering what might happen next. I open a new document and begin planning my next move, because this is far from over. The washable paint was just the opening act. Monday morning brings an email that changes everything. I'm at my desk at the bank, reviewing loan applications, when a message appears in my personal inbox. The sender is listed as Derek Sean Brian Carter Consulting Com, but the subject line makes no sense. FWD, Catering Invoice, Maple Street Project. I open the email and immediately realize this wasn't meant for me. Derek has mixed up email addresses, probably autocomplete confusion between emily.carter@willowridgebank.com and emily.chen@willowridgeaccounting.com, who handles bookkeeping for several local businesses. The forwarded invoice is from Romano's Italian restaurant for corporate catering services, totaling $847.50. The delivery address is Rachel's studio. The billing contact is listed as Rachel Hart, the same misspelling that's been appearing in anonymous emails and text messages. But what makes this truly interesting is the date. Last Tuesday, when Brian claimed to be at a client meeting in Hartford. I screenshot the email and forward it to my personal account before deleting the original from my work inbox. Derek's mistake has just handed me concrete evidence of expense fraud. My phone rings. It's Derek. "Emily, hey, did you get an email from me by mistake? I think I sent something to the wrong address." "I don't think so," I say, checking my inbox theatrically. "What kind of email?" "Just some boring vendor stuff. If you see anything from me, can you delete it? It's confidential client information." "Of course, no problem." After Derek hangs up, I lean back in my chair and smile. The cover-up is often worse than the crime, and Derek's panic suggests this invoice represents something much bigger than a single fraudulent expense. I spend my lunch break researching Brian's company policies. Their employee handbook, available on the company website, clearly states that personal expenses cannot be charged to client accounts. Violations can result in immediate termination and potential criminal charges for fraud. That afternoon, I drive to Romano's Italian restaurant and speak with the manager, Maria Torino. I explain that I'm handling accounting for one of their corporate clients and need to verify some billing details. "The Hart account." Maria pulls up her records. "Oh yes, they've been regular customers for about 2 months. Always the same order. Dinner for 2, usually Tuesday or Thursday evenings. Very romantic setup, candles and wine." "Dinner for 2. The gentleman specifically requests our corner booth. the one with privacy screens. He pays with a corporate card but tips in cash. Very generous. I thank Maria and leave, my mind racing. Brian and Rachel haven't just been having an affair. They've been conducting it on his company's dime, creating a paper trail that could destroy his career. Back home, I begin crafting what I call my email cascade. Using the delayed send feature in my email program, I schedule a series of messages to be delivered tomorrow evening at precisely 7:30 p.m., right in the middle of Linda Carter's monthly family dinner. The first email goes to Brian's company board of directors, with copies to the HR department and his direct supervisor. Subject line: Expense account irregularities requiring investigation. I attach the Romano's invoice, the Williams-Sonoma receipt, and a spreadsheet documenting every suspicious charge over the past 3 months. The second email goes to our extended family: my parents, Brian's parents, his sister in California, my cousins in New York. Subject line: Important family update. I attach the restaurant receipts, hotel confirmations, and a timeline showing Brian's lies about his whereabouts. The third email goes to key neighbors, including Pamela Green and the HOA board. Subject line: Regarding recent anonymous harassment. I attach screenshots of the threatening text messages, the anonymous emails about suspicious behavior, and phone records showing they all originated from the same prepaid number. Each email is carefully worded, factual, and professional. No accusations, no emotional language, just documented evidence with timestamps and sources. Let the facts speak for themselves. Tuesday evening arrives with unseasonable warmth, as if the weather is conspiring to make Linda Carter's dinner party perfect. Brian dresses carefully in his best suit, humming while he adjusts his tie. You seem happy, I observe. Just looking forward to seeing the family. It's been too long since we all got together. Linda's dining room is decorated with her usual attention to detail: fine china, crystal glasses, fresh flowers from her garden. She's prepared Brian's favorite meal: roast beef with Yorkshire pudding, green beans almondine, and her famous chocolate trifle for dessert. Rachel arrives fashionably late, wearing a flowing dress that probably costs more than most people's rent. She hugs everyone warmly, playing the role of beloved younger sister and daughter-in-law-to-be. Emily, you look tired, she says, kissing my cheek with false concern. Are you getting enough sleep? I'm fine, just busy with work. You should try yoga. It's wonderful for stress relief. We're halfway through the main course when phones start buzzing around the table. First Linda's iPhone, then Brian's Android, then Rachel's phone, then mine. The synchronized chiming creates an almost musical effect. How rude, Linda says, reaching for her phone. Who sends emails during family dinner? Brian checks his phone first. I watch his face change as he reads the subject line, then opens the attachment. The color drains from his cheeks. Everything okay, dear? Linda asks. Just work stuff, Brian mutters, but his hands are shaking slightly as he scrolls through the email. Rachel opens her message next. She reads silently for a moment, then looks directly at me across the table. For the first time since this whole situation began, I see genuine fear in her eyes. Emily, she says quietly. What did you do? I'm sorry. Linda's phone chimes with another notification, then another. The family group chat is exploding as relatives read the emails and start responding. Brian, Linda says, her voice sharp, what is this about expense account irregularities? Brian's phone rings. He glances at the caller ID and goes pale. I need to take this. You most certainly do not, Linda snaps. We're having family dinner. But Brian is already standing, accepting the call. Hello, Mr. Patterson. Yes, I saw the email. No, I can explain everything. He walks into the kitchen, speaking in urgent whispers. Through the doorway, I can see him pacing back and forth, running his free hand through his hair. Rachel's phone rings next, then Linda's. The dining room fills with the sound of overlapping conversations, as family members call each other to discuss the bombshell emails they've just received. "Emily," Rachel says, standing abruptly, "I need to speak with you privately." We're in the middle of dinner. Now. Linda looks back and forth between us, clearly confused by the sudden tension. "What's going on here? Someone needs to explain what these emails are about." That's when Derek Shaw calls Brian's phone, which he's left on the dining room table. The ringtone plays "Eye of the Tiger," which would be comical under different circumstances. "I'll get it," I say, reaching for the phone. "Don't touch that," Rachel snaps. "It might be important." I answer the call and put it on speaker before anyone can stop me. Derek's panicked voice fills the room. "Brian, thank God. Listen, Patterson is furious about the expense account thing. He wants a full audit of all your client charges for the past year. And someone forwarded the family emails to the entire company directory. Everyone knows about—" "Derek," I interrupt. "This is Emily." Brian stepped away for a moment. Silence on the line. "Emily," Derek finally says, "how much do you know?" "About what?" "About everything." Linda stands up, her face flushed with anger and confusion. "Would someone please explain what is happening in my dining room?" Brian returns from the kitchen, his face ashen. "That was my boss. I'm suspended pending an investigation into expense account fraud." "Fraud?" Linda's voice rises to a near shriek. "What fraud?" "It's complicated, Mom." "Then uncomplicate it." Rachel moves toward the front door. "I should go. This is family business." "Oh no," I say, standing to block her path. "You're very much part of this family business." That's when I tell them everything. The late-night visits, the restaurant receipts, the hotel bookings, the anonymous harassment emails. I speak calmly and methodically, presenting facts without emotion. Brian tries to interrupt several times, but I continue talking. Rachel starts to leave again, but Linda orders her to sit down and listen. The anonymous emails threatening me. I pull out my phone and show them the message threads. They all came from a prepaid phone registered to someone using Rachel's credit card. The same credit card Brian has been using to pay for their romantic dinners. "That's not," Rachel begins. The metadata from the neighborhood newsletter complaints about my suspicious behavior. The PDF files were created on Rachel's laptop and emailed from her home IP address. Linda looks like she's been slapped. "Rachel, is this true?" "Emily's been stalking us," Rachel says desperately. "She's been following Brian, taking pictures, harassing us with phone calls." "Show them the pictures," I say to Brian. "The ones I took of you two at Romano's last Thursday, or the ones from the hotel in Mystic." Brian's phone rings again. This time it's his sister calling from California, presumably after reading the family email. He declines the call, but it immediately rings again with a different number. "Make it stop," Linda whispers. "Just make all of this stop." That's when the sprinkler system activates. Linda had lit candles for the dinner party, and one of them sits too close to the smoke detector in the hallway. The combination of candle smoke and cooking odors triggers the fire suppression system, which is connected to the outdoor sprinklers. Water begins spraying through the dining room windows, which Linda had opened to let in the evening breeze. Everyone scrambles to close the windows and move away from the water, but the damage is done. The carefully set table is soaked, the crystal glasses are full of water, and Linda's chocolate trifle looks like a muddy puddle. In the chaos, I walk calmly to the front door. "Where are you going?" Brian calls after me. "Home," I say. "I think I've said everything I needed to say." As I reach the door, I pass Rachel in the hallway. She grabs my arm, her nails digging into my skin. "You think you're so smart," she hisses, "but you have no idea what you've just done." I look down at her hand on my arm, then back up at her face. I know exactly what I've done. The question is, do you? I remove her hand gently but firmly, then step out into the evening air. Behind me, I can hear Linda crying, Brian's phone ringing incessantly, and the sound of water still spraying from the malfunctioning sprinkler system. As I walk across the street to my own house, I realize I feel lighter than I have in months. The truth is, finally out in the open, documented and undeniable. Now comes the interesting part, watching Brian and Rachel deal with the consequences of their choices. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. This isn't over. I screenshot the message and add it to my evidence file. Then I type back, "You're right, it's just beginning." The next morning, I wake up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Word has spread through our social circle like wildfire, and everyone wants to know if the emails are true, if I'm okay, if I need anything. I delete most of the messages without reading them. The only ones that matter are from my lawyer, confirming our appointment for this afternoon, and from Jenna, asking if I want company for breakfast. Brian never came home last night. His car isn't in the driveway, and his side of the bed is undisturbed. I assume he spent the night at Rachel's, though that assumption is confirmed when I see his Honda parked in her driveway as I drink my morning coffee. At 10 a.m., I walk across the street to Rachel's studio. The converted garage smells like oil paint and turpentine, with undertones of the vanilla candles she burns constantly. Canvases line the walls in various stages of completion, abstract pieces that look like expensive wallpaper samples. Rachel stands at an easel in the center of the room, wearing paint-splattered overalls and an expression of forced concentration. "We need to talk," I say. She doesn't look up from her painting. "I have nothing to say to you." "That's fine. You can listen." I close the studio door behind me and lean against it. The space feels smaller with both of us in it, more intimate and more threatening at the same time. "You made a mistake with the newsletter," I continue. "The anonymous emails complaining about my behavior. The PDF metadata shows they were created on your laptop at 11:47 p.m. on October 15th. Your internet service provider confirmed the IP address. Your credit card company confirmed you purchased the prepaid phone used to send threatening text messages." Rachel finally looks up from her canvas. "You can't prove any of that." "Actually, I can. I have screenshots, phone records, and a signed affidavit from the Walmart employee who sold you the phone. You paid with your credit card, remember? There's security camera footage." This is a lie, but Rachel doesn't know that. Her face goes pale, and I can see her calculating whether I'm bluffing. "What do you want?" she asks. "I want to know why." "Why what?" "Why you decided to destroy my marriage instead of just asking Brian to leave me. Why you felt the need to turn the entire neighborhood against me. Why you couldn't just have your affair quietly like a normal person." Rachel sets down her paintbrush and turns to face me fully. For the first time in months, she drops the pretense of sisterly concern. "Because you don't deserve him," she says. "You never did. Brian is brilliant and ambitious and charming, and you treat him like a roommate. You're cold and calculating and obsessed with your spreadsheets and your numbers. You make him feel small. So you decided to make me feel smaller. I decided to show him what a real relationship could look like. Someone who appreciates his intelligence, who supports his dreams, who doesn't question every dollar he spends or every minute he's away from home." I laugh, a short, bitter sound. "Someone who helps him commit expense fraud to pay for romantic dinners." "That wasn't my idea. But you went along with it. You let him risk his career to impress you." Rachel's jaw tightens. "Brian makes his own choices." "And what about your choices? The anonymous emails, the harassment, trying to convince everyone I was having some kind of mental breakdown. You were acting crazy, following us around, taking pictures, snooping through his things." "I was collecting evidence of my husband's affair. That's not crazy, that's practical." "It's obsessive." I step closer to her, close enough to see the flecks of paint on her cheek, close enough to smell her expensive perfume mixed with turpentine. "You want to know what's obsessive?" I say quietly. "Spending 3 months orchestrating a campaign to gaslight your own sister, creating fake email accounts to spread rumors, buying burner phones to send threatening messages. That's not love, Rachel. That's pathology." She slaps me. The sound echoes in the small space, sharp and sudden. My cheek stings, but I don't step back. Instead, I look at her calmly, the way I look at problematic numbers on a balance sheet. Feel better? I ask. You have no idea what you've cost me, Rachel says, her voice shaking. Brian's company is investigating him. His reputation is ruined. The whole neighborhood thinks I'm some kind of home wrecker. You are a home wrecker. I fell in love. You fell in love with a married man and decided the best way to handle that was to destroy his wife's sanity. That's not romance, Rachel. That's cruelty. I reach past her to the easel, where she's been working on a painting I recognize. It's a landscape of the lake, where we used to go as children, the one our parents rented a cabin on every summer. She's painted it from memory, with surprising skill and attention to detail. This is good, I say, genuinely surprised. It's actually really good. Don't patronize me. I'm not. This is the first painting of yours I've seen that isn't complete garbage. She moves to block my view of the canvas. Get out of my studio. In a minute. I walk to the back corner, where several canvases are turned toward the wall. What are these? Nothing. Personal work. I flip one of the canvases around. It's a portrait of Brian, painted with obvious affection and considerable talent. He's laughing in the painting, his eyes bright and his expression genuinely happy. It's how he used to look at me, years ago, before we settled into the routine of mortgage payments and career obligations. You're better than I thought, I admit. Why do you waste your time on those abstract pieces when you can paint like this? Because portraits don't sell to corporate buyers, Rachel says. Abstract art matches office furniture. So you paint what sells instead of what you love. I paint what pays the bills. I study the portrait more carefully. Brian looks younger in it, more carefree. It's how Rachel sees him, or wants to see him. Not the man who lies about server emergencies and commits expense fraud, but the man he could be under different circumstances. He's not going to leave his wife for you, I say. He already has. No, he's having an affair with you. That's different. When this gets complicated, when the divorce lawyers start talking about asset division and alimony payments, he's going to realize how expensive love actually is. You don't know him like I do. I've been married to him for 8 years. I know exactly who he is when the bills come due. I turn away from the portrait and face Rachel directly. But this isn't really about Brian, is it? This is about you and me. This is about how you've spent your entire life being the pretty sister, the charming sister, the one everyone loves at first sight. And you couldn't stand that I had something you wanted. That's not. You could have had any man you wanted. Rich men, successful men, men who would worship the ground you walk on. But you chose mine, specifically because he was mine. Rachel's eyes fill with tears, but I'm not finished. The anonymous emails, the harassment, trying to make me look unstable, that wasn't about protecting your relationship with Brian. That was about punishing me for having something you couldn't just take. You're wrong. Am I? I reach up and twist one of the track lights that illuminate her easel. The bulb is loose, and when I turn it, there's a small pop and the smell of burning filament. The light flickers and goes out, leaving a small crack in the glass housing. Careful, Rachel says. Those bulbs are expensive. So are marriages, so are reputations, so are careers. I walk to the corner where Rachel keeps her finished canvases. One of them is a painting I commissioned from her 2 years ago, a landscape of our childhood home, painted as a Christmas gift for our parents. I never picked it up because Rachel claimed it wasn't finished, but here it is, complete and perfect. I paid for this, I say, lifting the canvas. Emily, don't. I have the receipt. $800, paid in full. I tuck the painting under my arm. I'm taking what's mine. You can't just... Watch me. I walk toward the door, but Rachel blocks my path. Put it down, she says. Move. That painting isn't about money. It's about family. About our history. Our history is why this hurts so much, I tell her. If you were just some random woman Brian was sleeping with, I could hate you cleanly. But you're my sister. You're supposed to be on my side. I never meant for it to happen this way. Yes, you did. Every anonymous email, every threatening text, every lie you told about my mental state, all of that was intentional. You wanted to isolate me, to make me question my own perceptions. You wanted me to think I was going crazy. I stepped closer to her, still holding the painting. But here's what you didn't count on. I'm very, very good with evidence, and evidence doesn't lie, even when everyone else does. What are you going to do? I'm going to let the consequences play out naturally. Brian's company will complete their investigation and decide whether to fire him or pursue criminal charges. The divorce will proceed according to Connecticut state law. And you'll have to live with the knowledge that you destroyed a family for a man who was never actually yours to begin with. I move toward the door again, and this time Rachel steps aside. Emily, she calls as I reach for the handle. I'm sorry. I turn back to look at her. She's standing in the middle of her studio, surrounded by half-finished paintings and the smell of turpentine, looking younger and more vulnerable than I've seen her since we were children. I know you are, I say. But sorry doesn't fix anything. Sorry doesn't undo the damage. Sorry is just something people say when they finally realize they're going to face consequences for their actions. I open the door and step out into the bright October morning, carrying my painting and leaving Rachel alone in her studio with her guilt and her expensive light bulbs. As I walk back across the street to my house, I see Brian's car pulling into our driveway. He gets out slowly, looking like he hasn't slept. His suit is wrinkled, his hair is messy, and he has the defeated expression of a man who's just realized his life is about to change dramatically. Emily, he calls, we need to talk. Yes, I agree, adjusting my grip on the painting. We do. But first, I'm going to hang this landscape in our living room, right where I can see it every day. A reminder of what family used to mean, before betrayal and lies and anonymous emails. Before my sister decided to destroy my marriage, and my husband decided to let her. The Willow Ridge HOA Fall Gala is held annually in the model home at the entrance to our subdivision, a pristine colonial with staged furniture and the artificial smell of vanilla cookies that real estate agents pump through the ventilation system. Tonight, the house is decorated with autumn leaves and tiny white lights, transforming it into the perfect backdrop for suburban social theater. I arrive at 7 p.m. wearing my best dress and carrying a bottle of expensive wine as a hostess gift. Linda Carter, despite everything that's happened, is still technically the HOA president and tonight's event coordinator. She greets me at the door with a strained smile and eyes that avoid direct contact. Emily, how nice that you could make it. I wouldn't miss it, I reply, handing her the wine. Thank you for organizing such a lovely event. The model home's living room is filled with neighbors balancing small plates of catered appetizers and making polite conversation about property values and school district ratings. Pamela Green holds court near the fireplace, no doubt sharing her theories about recent neighborhood drama with anyone willing to listen. I spot Jenna by the kitchen island and make my way over to her. I wasn't sure you'd actually come tonight, she says quietly. Why would I miss the social event of the season? Because half the people here have been gossiping about you for the past week. I glance around the room, noting the subtle way conversations pause when I walk by, the careful way people avoid making eye contact. Let them gossip. I have nothing to hide. Brian and Rachel arrive together at 7:30, making no attempt to disguise their relationship now that everything is out in the open. Rachel wears a flowing red dress that probably costs more than most people's monthly rent. Brian has managed to clean up since our conversation this morning, but he still looks like a man carrying the weight of impending unemployment. They position themselves near the back patio doors, accepting condolences and support from neighbors who either haven't heard the full story or choose to believe their version of events. Derek Shaw lurks near the dessert table, looking uncomfortable in a suit that doesn't quite fit. He keeps checking his phone and glancing toward the exits, as if he's expecting bad news to arrive at any moment. At 8:15, my phone buzzes with a text from Evan Lee, the IT freelancer who occasionally does work for Brian's company. Board meeting starting now. Conference line is active. I excuse myself from conversation with the Hendersons and slip upstairs to the model home's master bedroom, where the noise from the party is muffled. I dial into the conference line using the number Evan provided and put my phone on speaker. Serious concerns about expense account management and client billing practices, a voice is saying. I recognize it as Mr. Patterson, Brian's supervisor. The evidence suggests systematic misuse of corporate funds over a period of several months, another voice adds. Romano's restaurant, various retail purchases, hotel bookings, all charged to client accounts but delivered to personal addresses. What's the total amount involved? This voice belongs to someone I don't recognize, probably a board member. Approximately $12,000 in questionable charges, possibly more as we dig deeper into the records. I lean against the bedroom door, listening as Brian's career dissolves in real time. The board members discuss policy violations, client trust, and the company's reputation with the clinical detachment of people making a business decision. Mr. Carter will need to reimburse the full amount immediately, Patterson says, and will need his resignation letter by tomorrow morning. What about criminal charges? Someone asks. That's up to the district attorney's office. We'll be forwarding our findings to them as required by law. The call continues for another 10 minutes, covering legal procedures and damage control strategies. By the time they hang up, Brian's professional life is effectively over. I save the audio recording to my phone and head back downstairs to rejoin the party. Brian is standing near the kitchen, talking quietly with Derek. Both men look tense, and I can see Derek showing Brian something on his phone screen, probably news about the board meeting, though they don't know I was listening in real time. Ladies and gentlemen, Linda announces, tapping a fork against her wine glass. Thank you all for joining us tonight to celebrate another successful year in our wonderful community. The crowd gathers in the living room for Linda's annual speech about property values, community spirit, and the importance of maintaining Willow Ridge's reputation as a premier suburban neighborhood. We've faced some challenges this year, Linda continues, her eyes briefly finding mine across the room, but we've weathered them together, as neighbors and friends. That's when my phone starts ringing loudly, disrupting Linda's speech. I glance at the screen. It's Evan calling back with an update. I'm so sorry, I announce to the room. I need to take this. It's work-related. Instead of leaving the room, I answer the call and immediately put it on speaker. Emily, the board meeting just concluded. Evan's voice fills the living room through my phone speaker. Brian Carter has been terminated effective immediately. They're also pursuing criminal charges for expense account fraud. The room goes completely silent. Brian's face turns white as he realizes what's happening. They found evidence of systematic misuse of corporate funds, Evan continues, unaware that he's broadcasting to a room full of neighbors. Hotel bookings, restaurant charges, retail purchases, all charged to client accounts, but used for personal purposes. The total amount is over $12,000. Thank you for the update, I say calmly, then hang up. Brian stares at me across the room. You planned this? I didn't plan anything. I just listened to a conference call that was already happening. You recorded a private business meeting. I recorded a meeting about my husband's criminal activity. That seems like something a wife should know about. Linda steps forward, her face flushed with embarrassment and anger. This is not appropriate dinner party conversation. You're right, I agree. It's more appropriate for a courtroom. That's when Derek makes a run for it. He pushes through the crowd toward the front door, clearly panicking about his own involvement in Brian's scheme. But in his haste, he knocks over the dessert table, sending plates and glasses crashing to the floor. The commotion draws everyone's attention, and in the chaos, I slip out the back patio doors into the model home's perfectly landscaped backyard. The HOA maintains a small fleet of golf carts for community events and maintenance work. One of them is parked beside the model home's garage, keys still in the ignition. I climb into the driver's seat and start the electric motor, which hums quietly to life. Brian appears at the patio doors just as I'm backing the golf cart out of the driveway. He runs after me, shouting something I can't hear over the sound of my own laughter. I drive the golf cart down Maple Street, then turn onto Oak Avenue, leading Brian on a slow-speed chase through our suburban neighborhood. Neighbors come out of their houses to watch the spectacle, and several people start recording with their phones. At the corner of Oak and Elm, I'm forced to stop. A U-Haul truck is blocking the intersection, apparently helping someone move out of the Patterson house. The driver is taking his time maneuvering the large truck around the corner, completely oblivious to the domestic drama playing out behind him. Brian catches up to the golf cart, breathing hard from running in dress shoes. "Emily, stop this," he pants. "You're embarrassing yourself." "I'm embarrassing myself," I laugh. "Brian, you just got fired for stealing $12,000 to finance your affair with my sister. I think the embarrassment ship has sailed." "It wasn't stealing. It was just creative expense management. Tell that to the district attorney." The U-Haul finally clears the intersection, and I press the accelerator on the golf cart. But instead of continuing down the street, I make a sharp U-turn and head back toward the model home. Brian runs after me again, but he's slower this time, winded from the first chase. I park the golf cart in the model home's driveway and walk back inside, where the party has devolved into chaos. Half the guests are clustered around Pamela Green, who's narrating the golf cart chase to anyone who will listen. The other half are cleaning up the mess Derek made when he knocked over the dessert table. Rachel stands in the center of the living room, looking lost and confused. Her red dress is perfect, her makeup is flawless, but her eyes are wide with the realization that her fairy tale romance has just become a criminal investigation. "Ladies and gentlemen," I announce, raising my voice to be heard over the chatter, "I have an announcement to make." The room gradually quiets, all eyes turning toward me. My husband has been terminated from his job for expense account fraud. He used company money to finance his affair with my sister. The district attorney's office will be filing criminal charges. Gasps and murmurs ripple through the crowd. "Furthermore," I continue, "I'll be filing for divorce tomorrow morning. The house will be sold and I'll be moving out of Willow Ridge by the end of the year." "Emily," Linda says, stepping forward, "this isn't the time or place." "Actually, it's the perfect time and place. You all deserve to know the truth about what's been happening in your community." I pull out my phone and show the room the screenshots of anonymous emails and threatening text messages. My sister has been harassing me for months, trying to convince everyone that I was having some kind of mental breakdown. She sent anonymous emails to the HOA board, claiming I was engaged in suspicious behavior. She bought a burner phone to send me threatening text messages. Rachel finally finds her voice. "That's not—" "The phone records are public information now," I interrupt. "The police have confirmed that all the harassment came from a phone registered with your credit card." The room erupts in shocked conversation. Pamela Green looks like Christmas morning has come early. This is the kind of scandal she lives for. Brian pushes through the crowd, his face red with anger and humiliation. "You've destroyed everything," he says. "My career, my reputation, my future." "I didn't destroy anything," I reply calmly. "I just documented what you destroyed yourself. You planned this whole thing, the emails, the evidence, this public humiliation. I planned to protect myself from gaslighting and harassment. Everything else was just consequences." Brian looks around the room at our neighbors, our friends, people we've known for years. They're all staring at him, with expressions ranging from shock to disgust to pity. "This isn't over," he says quietly. "Yes, it is." I walk toward the front door, but Brian grabs my arm. You can't just walk away from 8 years of marriage. Watch me. I remove his hand from my arm, the same way I removed Rachel's hand yesterday in her studio. Gentle but firm. Final. Emily, Rachel calls from across the room. Please, can we talk privately? We said everything we needed to say yesterday. I made mistakes, but you made choices. There's a difference. I open the front door and step out into the cool October night. Behind me, I can hear the party dissolving into chaos as neighbors process what they've just witnessed. The sprinkler system activates as I walk down the front path, water arcing across the model home's perfect lawn in precise, predictable patterns. The sound is soothing after the noise and drama of the evening. My phone buzzes with a notification. The divorce papers I filed online this morning have been processed and served. Brian's phone will be receiving the same notification right about now. I walk slowly down Maple Street toward my house, soon to be my former house, listening to the sound of water hitting pavement and the distant murmur of shocked conversation from the model home. Tomorrow I'll start looking for an apartment in the city, somewhere with no HOA, no neighborhood drama, no perfectly manicured lawns that require constant maintenance. Somewhere I can start over, armed with the knowledge that numbers don't lie, evidence doesn't disappear, and the truth always finds a way to surface. Behind me, I hear the model home's front door slam shut, followed by the sound of car doors and engine starting. The party is officially over. I reach my front door and turn back to look at the model home one last time. The lights are still on, the autumn decorations are still perfect, but the illusion of suburban harmony has been permanently shattered. The sprinklers continue their programmed cycle, watering a lawn that will look perfect again by morning, as if nothing had ever happened. But something did happen. The truth came out, consequences were faced, and justice was served with the cold precision of a well-balanced spreadsheet. I unlock my front door and step inside, leaving Willow Ridge and its secrets behind me.